Okay, so this is 6.2 applications using trigonometry. So we're going to be using, there are going to be word problems using our SOHCAHTOA. In these word problems, it's important to understand what it means by the angle of depression and the angle of elevation. So for the angle of elevation, it is always, you're measuring upwards from the person's view. So this is the angle of elevation. It says it's measured upwards between the horizontal line of the sight from an observer to the object. So you're elevating your eyesight upwards to what you're looking at, and this is the angle of elevation. Opposite is the angle of depression, and that's when if you were to look straight ahead and then look down towards something, that will be your angle of depression. So angle of depression is the angle measured downward between the horizontal and the line of sight from an observer to an object. So if you were to look straight ahead and then if you had to look down to what you're looking at, that's depression. If you look straight ahead and then have to look up, that's your angle of elevation. Okay, so the first example here, when you're doing word problems, it's very important that you follow these 3 steps. Step 1 is you want to draw and label a diagram. On a test or an assignment, you would be given marks for this. So don't forget to draw and label your diagram. Then I can see what you're working off of. The second step is you want to have a let statement to identify any variables used. So that means you have to let something equal x, the unknown. What are you looking for? Okay, so what are you looking for? This is where your let statement comes in. What are you looking for? And then your third step is you want to write and evaluate the appropriate trig ratio. So you have to set up your trig ratio and then of course show your steps in solving it. So let's use these 3 steps to do example number 1. So a hydro pole is supported by a guy wire that is 13.7 meters in length. If the wire makes an angle of 73 degrees with the ground, how tall is the pole? Okay, so we want to find out how tall the pole is. Let's draw a pole. Okay, straight line. The hydro pole is supported by a guy wire. So a guy wire just comes out from the pole to the ground. Okay, so this would be our ground here. This is our ground. This is the hydro pole. So this is our guy wire here. It says that our guy wire is 13.7 meters in length. So 13.7 meters in length. If the wire makes an angle of 73 degrees with the ground, so the wire makes an angle of 73 degrees with the ground. So this is the ground, this is the wire. This will be your angle that is 73 degrees. How tall is the pole? So if this is the pole, this is what we're looking for. This is our x. Okay, so our first step here is we drew and labeled the diagram. The next step is that we have to write a let statement. So in this case, we're letting x, so let x be the height of the pole. The height of the pole. So we're letting x be the height of the pole, and that's what we're solving for. We want to figure out what x is. The next step is we want to write the appropriate trig ratio. So remember that your trig ratio, you can remember your SOHCAHTOA to figure out which one you're going to use. The sine, the cos, or the tan. And it's always going to be with regards to the angle that you're given. So here we're given our indicated angle is this angle here, and it's 73. This is our right angle. So remember that your hypotenuse is always opposite to your right angle. So we have our hypotenuse. If we have our hypotenuse, That means that we're either going to be using sine or cos because those are the two trig ratios that have the hypotenuse in it. We will not be using tan. From 73, we're looking for x. X happens to be the opposite to the angle of 73. So we have our opposite. So the trig ratio that deals with the opposite and the hypotenuse is sine. So we're going to be using sine. So sine of 73 is equal to opposite over hypotenuse, and you can plug in your values. So sine 73, our opposite is x, that's what we're looking for, and our hypotenuse is 13.7. We need to isolate x, we need to get x all by itself. This 13.7, it's being divided by 13.7, we need to get it over to the other side. To move it to the other side, we do the opposite of operation. So instead of dividing, we're going to multiply it to the other side. So 13.7 times sine 73 is going to equal our x, and that is just plugging it into our calculator. So we have 13.7, I don't know if you can see that, 13.7 times sine 73 is 13.1. 13.1 is equal to x. And when you're writing in, when you're doing a word problem, it's very important also to write a therefore statement. So therefore, the height of the pole is 13.1 meters.